Close your eyes. You are standing in a place where the air has weight. It's a mix of old sweat, iron, and the sharp, acidic tang of a predator that hasn't eaten in 3 days. You can hear 80,000 people laughing above your head, but to them, you don't exist yet. To them, you are just a line on a program, a midday slot, a piece of fuel waiting to be tossed into the fire of the greatest entertainment machine ever built. You are in the dark, and the dark is hungry. You can't see your hands. You've been in the dark long enough that your eyes have stopped searching for shapes. There are none. There is only the texture of the floor beneath you. The stone is slick. It is cold. Not the kind of cold that makes you shiver for a moment, but the kind that moves past your skin, through your muscles and settles deep into your bones until it just is. You are part of the architecture now. A living brick in a labyrinth of silence. Except it isn't silent. Not really. Your brain is trying to protect you. It's trying to filter out the smell. That thick, heavy scent of damp earth and animal musk. Around the second day, your mind decided it was safer to stop noticing. But you can't stop hearing it. To your left, maybe 10 feet away, maybe 5. Space doesn't mean anything here. But the sound is unmistakable. The rhythmic thud scrape of claws on stone. Back and forth. Back and forth. Whatever is in that cage next to yours, it is big. And it is restless. It hasn't been fed. They made sure you knew that. On your first night, a voice came through the iron bars of the outer door. It wasn't a cruel voice. It wasn't angry. It was flat, emotionless, like a man reading a weather report. They haven't fed them in 3 days, the voice said. Then, the sound of footsteps retreating. That was your last contact with the world of men. Now, there is only you and the pacing. Above your head, the world is screaming. You can hear the vibration of 80,000 pairs of feet. It travels down through the sand, through the thick oak planks of the arena floor, and down the stone pillars into your spine. They brought their lunches today. They found their numbered seat. They are wearing their best tunics. Up there, in the sunlight, there is silk and wine and the smell of roasted meat. Down here, there is only the hypogeum. Under the earth. You were brought here because you are Noxii, the condemned. In the eyes of the law, you have ceased to be a person. You are now a resource. You are the fuel for the midday spectacle. Rome is a machine of order, and today you are the part that makes the gears turn. You don't know when the floor will move, but the vibration is getting stronger. The pacing to your left has stopped. The creature is looking up. It knows what the vibration means. It knows that soon the light will return. And with the light comes the hunt. Rome wasn't built by monsters. That's the lie we tell ourselves. Rome was built by engineers. Men who cared about drainage, postal codes, and fire safety. And those same engineers designed this darkness. They calculated exactly how much dread a human heart can hold before it breaks. They designed the elevators. They designed the trapdoors. They designed your fear. You are sitting in the belly of a masterpiece, and the masterpiece is hungry. Stay with us till the end for valuable insight. Like, subscribe, and share to support the channel. The vibration doesn't stop. It becomes a hum. It is the sound of the most sophisticated entertainment venue ever constructed waking up. Most people, when they think of this place, think of the sun. They think of the white marble, the red awnings, and the glint of steel. But the heart of the Colosseum wasn't in the sky. It was here, 6 meters below the sand. This is the hypogeum, a 2-story labyrinth of precision and pain. It stretches 188 meters. an oval of tunnels and corridors that the 80,000 people sitting above you never have to see. This is what refinement looks like. Rome was a city of over 1 million people. They had running water. They had multi-story apartment buildings with fire code. They had public libraries and a postal service. They weren't barbaric in the way we lazily imagine ancient people to be. They didn't just kill. They engineered the kill. The stone walls around you aren't rough-hewn. They are fitted, precision-cut. The drainage channels beneath your feet are perfectly graded to carry away the blood and the waste of the animals. This wasn't built in a moment of anger. It was built with a blueprint. Around 70 AD, Emperor Vespasian looked at a piece of land seized after the Great Fire of Rome and decided to build a statement. He used tens of thousands of Jewish slaves, people brought back in chains after the siege of Jerusalem, to lay the foundations. Before a single drop of blood was shed in a contest, this building was already standing on the bones of a conquered nation. It was completed by his son, Titus, and then perfected by his other son, Domitian. Domitian was the one who looked at the arena and decided a simple stage wasn't enough. He wanted a machine. He ordered the construction of these permanent underground tunnels. He wanted a place where reality could be manipulated. Think about the sophistication. There are 80 entrances at ground level. 76 of them are numbered, just like a modern stadium. You'd have a ticket, a piece of pottery with a number on it. You'd find your gate, walk up the stairs, and find your seat based on your social class. Senators at the front, the poor at the top, and over all of them, a retractable canvas awning called the velarium, operated by elite sailors from the Roman Navy. It was designed to keep the sun off the spectators' faces while they watched you die. They thought of everything. Concession vendors sold snacks. Souvenir sellers sold trinkets. It was a theater season. It had a program. It had a rhythm. But you aren't part of the morning hunt. You aren't the headline act. You are the midday slot. The time when the important people go to get more wine or take a nap. This is the time reserved for the Noxii, people who have forfeited their rights, prisoners of war, slaves who dared to revolt, Christians who wouldn't bow. To Rome, your destruction isn't cruelty. It is order. It is the visible functioning of a society that takes its laws seriously. They call it panem et circenses, bread and circuses. It is a governing strategy. Keep the people fed, keep them entertained, and they will never look at the hands that hold the whip. You are the fuel that keeps the city quiet. You are the cost of their peace. And the machine that is about to consume you was built with more care than the homes they live in. The pacing to your left starts again. A low growl vibrates through the wall. The animal is hungry, and the engineers have made sure that the only way for that hunger to be satisfied is through you. You aren't a person anymore. Not here. The moment you passed through the Porta Libidinensis, the gate of death, your name was erased. To the Roman administrative machine, you became a number, a category, a body. This gate was named after Libitina, the goddess of funerals. It wasn't a metaphor. It was a functional description. Once that door closed behind you, the world of the living was finished with you. In the cells around you, there are others. You can hear their breathing, but you don't speak. What is there to say? You come from different worlds. Some are women from the tribes of Britain, captured after Boudicca's revolt. They were dragged from the green forests of the north to this stone oven. Others are from Judea, noble women who watched the walls of Jerusalem fall. Some are Christians who stood before a magistrate and said no to an emperor's divinity. Different languages, different gods, But in the hypogeum, Rome processes you all identically. The darkness here is absolute. It's not the kind of dark you find in a bedroom at night. There is no ambient glow from a window, no sliver of light from under a door. It is a biological darkness. It's the kind of dark that removes your spatial sense within minutes. You lose track of where your body ends and where the cold stone begins. You lose the ability to measure time. Is it morning? Is it the third day? Without the sun, your internal clock shatters. And then there is the smell. It hits you before you even settle into your cell. It's the smell of large, stressed, hungry predators confined in a small space. Lions from North Africa, bears from the Alps, leopards, their waste, their sweat, their breath, it all mixes into a thick, acidic fog. The smell goes straight to the oldest part of your brain, the lizard brain. It bypasses logic. It tells your heart to beat faster. It tells your lungs to gasp. It says, predator. Confined space. No exit. Rome's engineers knew this. They didn't need to torture you with whips. They let the architecture do the work. This is psychological destruction by design. They want you broken before you ever see the light. They want a version of you that has been stripped of identity, reduced to raw, reactive fear. To your left, the pacing creature lets out a sound. It's not a roar. Roars are for the open plains. This is a low, chest-vibrating moan. It's the sound of a beast that has been kept in a box for 3 days without meat. It is confused. It is angry. And it is right behind a wall of iron bars that are only an inch thick. You press your back against the opposite wall. The stone is wet with condensation. Or maybe it's the sweat of the person who sat here yesterday. You think about the 80,000 people above. They are laughing. They are eating bread provided by the state. They aren't monsters. They are just an audience. They are waiting for the midday break. They are waiting for the midday performers. The vibration in the floor changes. It becomes a mechanical clatter. Somewhere in the dark, a system of pulleys is moving. A counterweight is being released. The elevator is coming. You realize that the waiting wasn't just a byproduct of the system. The waiting was the system. This is what it takes to turn a human being into a spectacle. You have been marinated in dread until you are exactly what the program requires. The sound of the world above is a muffled roar, like a distant ocean hitting a stone cliff. But the sound below is sharp. It is the sound of teeth, gears of bronze and iron biting into each other. At least 28 vertical elevator shafts cut through the darkness of the hypogeum. They are masterpieces of Roman mechanical engineering. Each one is a cage within a frame, connected to a series of heavy hemp ropes and lead counterweight. It takes 8 men, slaves mostly, straining at a massive wooden capstan to raise just one of these cages. They work in the shadows, their muscles slick with grease and sweat, moving to the beat of a drum or the bark of an overseer. From the perspective of the 80,000 Romans in the stands, what happens next looks like magic. A lion appears from the empty sand. A leopard leaps from the ground as if summoned by a god. There is no visible machinery, no clumsy doors, just the miracle of the arena. But from where you are standing, there is no magic. There is only the vibration of the stone beneath your feet. You feel the floor shiver. To your left, the pacing creature, the one that hasn't eaten in 3 days, is suddenly moved. You hear the heavy clatter of its cage being slotted into the lifting frame. You hear the beast snarl as the ground beneath it begins to rise. Slowly, the cage ascends. It leaves your level of the dark and moves toward the ceiling. You watch the square of shadow where it used to be. Above, the trapdoor, flush with the sand and invisible to the crowd, swings open. The light that pours down for that split second is blinding. It's a white-hot needle of sun that stabs into the blackness of the tunnel, and then, thud, the door shuts. The animal is gone. The crowd screams with delight. The silence that follows is worse than the noise. You realize now that the Colosseum isn't just a building. It's a factory. It has an input and an output. The input is you, the animals, and the prisoners. The output is a specific emotion, the feeling of Roman supremacy. Every time a cage rises, every time a trapdoor clicks, the machine is telling the 80,000 people above that they are safe. It is telling them that the world is under control, that the enemies of Rome are beneath their feet, quite literally. The engineering is what makes it haunting. Barbarians might kill in a fit of rage. They might burn a village in the heat of battle. But barbarians don't build elevators. They don't calculate counterweights. They don't create a schedule for death that runs from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. You look at the walls of your cell. You see the marks where iron rings were once bolted. You see the drainage grooves. You realize that this machine has been running for decades before you got here, and it will run for centuries after you are gone. It is efficient, it is cold, and it is waiting for the next cage to be loaded. The slaves at the capstan are resetting the rope. The pulleys are screaming again. The floor beneath your own feet begins to tremble. This is the moment where the waiting ends and the spectacle begins. You aren't going up as a warrior. You are going up as a prop. The light is coming. And in that light, 80,000 people are waiting to see what the machine has produced. The floor doesn't just lift, it jerks. The mechanism is powerful, but it is not smooth. You feel the heavy hemp rope strain. The wood beneath your feet groans under the weight of the counterweights. As you rise, the thick, humid air of the hypogeum begins to thin. The smell of the animals starts to fade, replaced by something even more terrifying, the smell of fresh air and heated sand. But you aren't being sent out as yourself. Rome has one final layer of sophistication before the end. They don't just want to watch you die, they want to watch a story. They call these symmetry or fatal charades. Before you were put into this cage, they dressed you. They didn't give you armor. They gave you a costume. Perhaps you are wearing the robes of a doomed queen from a Greek myth. Perhaps you are dressed as a forest nymph or a legendary figure who was punished by the god. To the 80,000 people above, you are no longer a woman from a conquered tribe or a prisoner of conscience. You are a character in a play they have known since childhood. The trapdoor above your head swings open. The light is violent. It hits your eyes like a physical blow. After days in the absolute black of the tunnels, the sun of the Roman afternoon feels like fire. You squint, your eyes watering, as the elevator levels out with the arena floor. You step out. Your feet sink into the sand. It is warm, it is soft, and it is red, not because the sand itself is red, but because it has been soaked and turned so many times today that the color has become permanent. The noise is a wall, 80,000 voices hitting you at once. It's not just cheering, it's the sound of a collective heart beating. They see you. The program says it is time for the myth of Dirce. In the myth, the queen was tied to the horns of a wild bull as punishment. And there, at the other end of the arena, another trapdoor has opened. The bull emerges. It is massive. It is white. And just like the predator in the cell next to yours, it is confused and angry. It has been kept in the dark. It has been poked with iron rods. It sees the light, it sees the sand, and it sees the figure in the robes standing in the center of the oval. The crowd doesn't see a killing. They see culture. They see the legends of their ancestors being performed with a realism that no theater could ever match. This is the bread and circuses in its purest form. The people are fed, they are entertained, and the power of Rome is reinforced. If the state can turn a myth into reality, the state is God. You stand there, a small, costumed figure in a sea of sand. You look up at the tiers of seats. You see the senators in their white togas. You see the women with their silk fans. You see children eating snacks. They aren't looking at you with hatred. They are looking at you with interest. You are the midday entertainment. You are the gap between the morning hunts and the evening gladiators. The bull lowers its head. The sand kicks up behind its hooves. The machine has done its job. It has brought the predator and the prey together in a space where there is no escape. The engineering of the hypogeum was the setup. The arena floor is the conclusion. The bull charges. But this story isn't about the impact. It's about the silence that follows. It's about what happens when the 80,000 people go home. The Colosseum ran as an active execution machine for roughly 4 centuries. Think about that span of time. Generations of families grew up watching the midday program. To them, it was just a Tuesday. It was as normal as the weather. The last gladiatorial games were recorded around 404 AD, after a monk named Telemachus allegedly jumped into the arena to stop a fight and was killed by the mob. The emperor Honorius, shamed by the blood of a holy man, finally pulled the plug on the combat. But the machine didn't disappear overnight. Even after the gladiators stopped, the beast hunts continued for another 100 years. When the Western Roman Empire finally fell in 476 AD, the building didn't die, it was cannibalized. People stripped away the marble seating for palaces. They melted down the bronze fittings for weapons. They quarried the stone for churches. Today, 7 million people visit this site every year. They stand on the reconstructed wooden floor and take selfies. They look up at the empty tiers and imagine the glory. Since 2010, the hypogeum, your dark, cold tunnel, has been open to tourists. You can walk the same corridors where the Christians, the rebels, and the mothers from Britain waited for the light. There is something physical about the air down there. Almost everyone who descends into the hypogeum goes quiet. It's not the hushed tone of a museum or a cathedral. It's a weight. People move slower. They touch the stone walls with a strange kind of hesitation. It's as if the stone still holds the vibration of those elevators. As if the walls still remember the smell of the 3-day hungry lions. The engineering is still visible. You can see the worn capstan housings, smoothed by the friction of thousands of operations. You can see the iron cage fixtures. The skeleton of the machine is laid bare. And it is a reminder that Rome was not built by monsters from a fairy tale. It was built by people like us, people who valued infrastructure and order, people who loved their children and wrote beautiful poetry about the stars. And those same people sat in seat number 42, unwrapped their lunch, and watched a woman get tied to the horns of a bull because the state told them it was justice. The question the Colosseum asks us today, the one it has been whispering for 2,000 years, is not, how could they be so cruel? The question is, what does it take for us to stop seeing each other as human? Rome's answer was simple. Give the people a show. Give them enough distance. Wrap the violence in mythology and call it entertainment. Build a machine so sophisticated that the people on top never have to think about the people in the dark. As the sun sets over modern Rome, the shadows of the arches stretch across the grass. The tourists go back to their hotels. The gates are locked, and in the silence of the hypogeum, the cold stone remains. It is a monument to what happens when bread and circuses become more important than human breath. It is a reminder that once you turn a person into fuel for a machine, the machine never knows when to stop. The dark is still there, and it is still waiting. If you enjoy dark, untold history, subscribe because we uncover what others won't.